Okay, so the problem I'm going to try and solve today is the 10-pin bowling problem. So I already tried this yesterday actually, and Code Wars doesn't let you use Clojure for it. But obviously I can still solve the problem in my own IDE. So basically, you're implementing an algorithm which simply does the scoring for the 10-pin bowling game. I think it's the American rules. Now, the thing that makes it challenging is calculating all the bonuses, because they can stack on top of each other. So, if you get like, so for example, it will say here, so you've got special rules for strikes and spares. If they get, so a strike gives you a bonus for the next 2 turns, for instance. So calculating all the bonuses and stuff is basically entirely what makes this difficult. So when I tried to do this yesterday, I tried to do it using reduce. Now normally so before we move on, so our input is already been divided up into frames. So the terminology they're using here is, so each player gets 10 frames, and each frame contains, well, normally 1 or 2 rows. So so this is a frame, and each of these is a row. And our final frame can contain up to 3 rows. Anyway, so I initially thought, well, this is a good fit for reduce, right? So we can just reduce over each frame. But yeah, calculating the bonuses like that is really complicated because you have to keep track of how many bonuses are currently active, as it were. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement it with a basically just an imperative loop, because that way we can look ahead at the future results. So yeah, let's get started. So obviously, because Code Wars doesn't allow you to use Clojure for this, their tests are written for Python, but we can easily rewrite it for Clojure. So let's start by writing some tests. Cool. Def test. You normally start with is equal with the test. Right, so is equal. So when we call bowling score and we give it these kind of awkward tests, this person is just knocking down. And as always, I forget that they've blocked copy paste. So yeah, this person is just hitting 1 pin every single time, isn't he? But anyway, we're obviously going to need to make some more tests. So why have they only given us 2 tests? Because it seems to me like this is the kind of problem where you need a lot of tests. I mean, more likely someone would be getting, so let's just make a test that's probably more likely. So maybe someone gets 3 followed by 5, and then they get, so yeah, they're using X to indicate a strike, and they're using a /, I believe, to indicate a / indicates a spare. So a spare might be like 5/. I think that's what they want us to do, right? I mean, this is why it's weird that they've only defined 2 tests and neither of them uses any spares. But yeah, they've got an example here, so that's how a spare looks like. So you got 9 and then you knocked 1 more over. So you have a spare. I do kind of wonder why they even need special characters. Oh, I guess because if you had a 10, then that could be interpreted as 2 rows, a 1 and a 0. Anyway, cool. Cool. So anyway, so let's make, so yeah, then they get 2 and 2. I'm just going to make some sort of example data here. So then they get a strike, and then they get a, oh wait, I forgot to copy paste their second example. Copy, paste. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm having trouble counting where I'm at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So how exactly does the final roll work? So I mean the final frame. The final frame has special rules. But the 10th frame can just be, so the 10th frame is still 2 turns if they don't get a bonus. Okay. So let's assume they don't get super lucky and they just get, let's say they get lucky the first time and then they just get a 2. Cool, so we've got a few tests. Yeah, no, we haven't finished that. We need, so is equal to what? So for their examples, the expected results are 20 and 300. And for the test we've just defined, I don't even know, I'm going to have to calculate it. So they get a score of 8 for the first frame, then they get 10 plus 2. Then they get 4. Then they get 10 plus 3, so 13. Oh no, no, for a strike you add up the score of the next 2 rows, right? Hang on, how does that work if one of the next 2 is this? I think this is 20. Because we get 10 and then we get 10. Well, that's my understanding anyway. Cool, and then we get obviously 10 plus 4, so 14. And then we would get what, 7, and then 3, and then 9, and then 7. So from reading the rules yesterday, on the last frame, bonuses are not awarded for strikes and spares. Yeah, so they just get 12 here. Understanding the rules is one of the hardest parts of doing this problem. Okay, so by my logic, that's 96. Is that actually correct? Because this depends if I've actually understood the rules correctly. So just to verify that our tests are valid, I'm just wondering if I can just use somebody else's bowling score calculator to at least verify that my so 3, 5. Okay. And then we did 5 and 5. Ah, so is this where that those, because you see how it's using a forward slash? Is this where that comes from? So 2, 2. Strike 3 and 7. 4 and 3. 12. 81. 52. 10 and 2. Oh, so they, right, so this isn't valid, so they will need to okay. Cool, so that's correct, it's 99. Cool. Alright. So at least we know our test is valid. Now, the mess with this is calculating the bonuses, so we need to be thinking about that right from the beginning. Once we start trying to solve this. Because the question is, how is our loop exactly going to work? Is our loop going to cycle over the frames, or is our loop going to cycle over turns one at a time? The reason it's a difficult question is because the bonuses don't apply to whole frames, the bonuses apply to rows. So for instance, if we get this spare, okay, to calculate the score for this, we need to look ahead, not to the entire frame, but just to this specific row. So what could be a problem if we were to start our program by chopping this up into frames? That could be messy. So another thing we've got to think about is how strikes work. Okay, so because a strike, you add the score from the next 2 rows, and that can actually spread across 2 entire frames. So yes, the bonus can either apply to a subset of a frame or even to multiple frames. So that would suggest that we should loop over rows instead of frames. Would that cause any problems though? So if we're looping over frames, it's very messy though, because this is an interesting problem. It's not surprising I had trouble solving this yesterday. Because there are special rules within a frame. We can't just act as if all of the rows are completely independent. I'm just trying to figure out, do we cycle over rows or do we cycle over frames? We could even split this into 2 data structures. Because how exactly do our bonuses work? Our bonuses don't care about frames. Our bonuses only care about rows. So what we could do is we could have our main loop can cycle over frames. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do. Does that make sense though? Or is this messy? No. I think this is this. I find this so messy. I need to think about this more. So I need to be clear. What problem will I have if I cycle over rows individually? Maybe it doesn't matter. Let's try cycling over rows. Let's just do that. It is very important to get the right approach. Otherwise, you pretty much just fail. So def, what do we call our function? We called it polling scroll. So we're taking as our input a string, are we? Well, we need to pass our string first before we do anything else. If we're cycling over individual rows, then that means we're actually kind of removing data. Because our input contains, because the input is already split up into, oh, this is so messy. It doesn't fit either way, does it? There's no way that this fits. Well, let's just start making our passing function. I'm going to make two, so we have the option. So if we want to pass out all the individual rows, can we just filter out the white space and then just, so how do we filter the white space? I think we can just, you can run filter directly on a string, can't you? So hold on, where's my, so if we get our example string, yeah, that's not going to work because we need the character space. How do you is that not okay? If we want to do a regular expression comparison, we need to import a library. Hold on, why can we not? Hold on. It's called \space. Okay. Oh, because I'm being an idiot, that's why. Because I am being an idiot. Oh yeah, because yeah, I forgot the... Okay, thank you. Although... So what's that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's worked. Why does Clojure... I hate these error pages. Like, I click on it just to focus the buffer and it makes another bloody buffer. Alright, anyway. Why am I looking at that? Cool. Yeah, that's entirely done what we need, hasn't it? So now we have a list of individual rows. I don't really like that they're characters. I'm tempted to convert them back into strings. Yeah, we need to think about that. So pass, what do they call it? Frames. Right, pass frames. So, yeah, so we need to chop this up. So how do we chop it up? I know this. Split, that's it, right? So I think this might be an import. Wait, I can't remember the syntax. So we give it we give it a string and a regular expression. Let's import it properly, right? So Clojure.string as stir, right? And this so string regular expression. So we're splitting it based on space, which I believe is just that. Cool, good. So yeah, hang on. I'm just trying to figure out how much pre-processing we want to do here. Well, this will do for the moment. I don't like the forward slashes and X's because we need extra logic once we start trying to add those. Alright, so let's test our functions actually work. So pass frames. Cool. Cool. So yeah, I'm tempted to just I feel like I want to do pass rows. But anyway, so let's see where we get to. So we'll try cycling through the rows individually first. It seems more promising to me, I think. I'm going to get a cup of tea. Okay, so let's start writing our loop. So, what am I doing? I'm typing in the wrong window. Cool. I guess we don't want to shadow. Yeah, well, maybe we don't. I mean, we need to look ahead with our rows, but we don't need to look back. So we don't need to look backward to calculate our bonuses, or do we? No, I don't think so. So cool. And we do want to keep track of what turn we're in. Cool. No, we start at turn 1. Cool. So if we're looping over each individual roll instead of turns, we need to keep track of whether we're at a new turn or if we're just halfway between turns. Or we could just this is very messy, but okay. So let's call it T roll for turn roll. So we're on the first roll in the turn. Okay. Cool. Okay. So there's so case T roll. I hope I'm using T roll correctly. So if we're on the first, I'm using case correctly. I might let's just. Well, I'm pretty sure this is correct. Anyway, so right, so we're on the first roll. We could just use another case. So if the roll is a strike, hang on. So we're getting these freaking characters, aren't we? So if the roll is a strike, then this so we've got 4 arguments. So Hang on. How are we handling this? Oops. Cool. So case rots will recur with the rest. And the score will be so we'll add to the score 10 because it was a strike, right? So we got a strike on the first roll of the what are we calling them? Frames. The first roll of the frame. So we simply T roll remains as 0 because it's a new oh, turn. Yeah, but turn is incremented, right? So cool, new turn. Cool. All right. I hope this is actually how case works. Cool. So this is the default. So this is if that doesn't match. So we recur. Wait, what? So yeah. So the second argument is score. So the score will be what? Yeah, we don't need to do anything clever. We just need to add the roll to the score. So the turn remains the same. And the T roll becomes 1. Okay. The fact that we're using 0 indexing here might be confusing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So if T roll is 1, that means we're on the second roll. So, right. Wait, no, because we haven't added our bonus, have we? Because our score needs to be... So we need to look ahead, so... can we make a separate function for... Yeah, we need another function. So we need a function that just gives us a number, right? So, okay, so x will just be translated into 10 or... or like 5 and forward. Hang on, so yeah, because hang on. So the bonus for a strike is the next 2 rows. So I need a function which takes the next 2 rows and just converts it into a number. And the bonuses aren't recursive, so we don't need to. Okay, so cool. So our input is the next two rows. So let's just call them A and B. I don't like the /. Hang on. Yeah, so if B, because B is our second character, if B is a /, then we just return 10. We don't even need to look at A. Otherwise, yeah, because A can't be a / because that's not how it works. So, because you can't have a strike followed by a /. Otherwise, we just need to calculate the One minute, I'm just closing the door. Number equiv. Well, it's taking a character, isn't it? I've realized I'm actually going to have to use that in here because we're doing additions on characters, which is going to upset the plus function. Unless we define a special plus function that can handle it. That's a good point, actually. Can't we just make a special plus function that can calculate the number equivalent as it goes? We can't though, because the strike bonus, because of the way strikes are indicated. Alright, stop overthinking it, right? Can we use case? So we don't try to handle strikes here, so yeah, in any other case we just return the string value, alright, so what's the function to convert a character? I've done this before, it's annoying. Is it like character /int or something? It's something like that. Clojure convert character. This isn't the first time I've Googled this. Character / digit, right? It's so ugly that we even have to do it, to be honest. Cool. So what are we doing? So character / digit. That's weird. Cool. Let's make the name of this function shorter. Okay. Yeah, we'll just add them both together, won't we? So, cool. So, is this correct? So we check if it's a strike. If so, we just do 10. Otherwise, we just add together the number equivalents of both of them. Cool, so that looks okay to me. So we're adding 10. Plus the strike bonus. Of the next two. So that will be the first two from rest, right? So how does take work? So take two. Yeah, that's perfect. Cool. So we calculate our strike bonus based on the It's a bit hard to follow, isn't it? It might be nicer to just to make it easier to read. Cool. So now you can see it being calculated bit by bit rather than. Cool. Anyway, so that's what happens if we get a strike. We're still trying to add things together though, aren't we? Should we make a clever plus function? Because I just don't want to be worrying about this nonsense. But then why do we need the number equivalence function? Should I have just made a... Oh, this gives me a headache. Should I have just not bothered with this and just made... Yeah. Well, anyway, what it does will be a superset of that anyway, so... So it's a plus function, but it's clever, so... It's not a very good name, is it? But whatever. But we might even be given a number in the first place. Hmm. So how in Clojure do we check the type of something? I mean, we can run type on it, but is that the best way? I'm not sure it's the best way to do it. Ah, well that's convenient. Integer. So if C is just an integer, then we just return C. If C is a strike, we just do that. Wait, what? Cond has beef. Yes, how do we set a what happens if we click on it? How do we set a default for cond? Clojure cond. We just put an else, do we? Cool. A sequence of unknown things. So we're applying plus to the output of what happens when we map an equivalent over excess. I'm becoming aware that we've written a lot of code without testing it, so so we better start testing things. So So what happens if we try and add together a 4 and an x and an extra integer 3? Oh yeah, because it needs. Well, hang on. Can we make it the dip? Can we just do that? That's correct, right? 10 plus 4 plus, yeah. Cool, so it works, good. I mean, just for best practice, let's at least make a test for that. Just in the name of doing things properly. Oops. Clojure plus test. Oops. How do we so is wait one. So is that what was it 17, right? 17. Cool. Let's just test our test. Cool, so our test worked, good, cool. Great, so everywhere that we're using plus, which is many, so cool, so now we just don't need to worry about it. I kind of don't like the fact that... Can we make this called something nicer rather than... Is this a thing? The linter doesn't like that. But can we... let's get rid of that because... but can we call our function just plus plus? Just to make it... Oops. Oops. So why does the linter not like that? Because the linter hasn't... yeah, the linter doesn't like how we're just importing everything. It upsets linters when you do that because they can't import everything. Cool. So that's really nice. So cool. And there's nowhere else that we're adding things this time. Cool. All right, where did we get to? So are we calculating our strike bonus correctly? So what are we expecting? Let's make some tests for this. So we're expecting our strike bonus to take a list of 2. Yeah, you know what's nice about how the 10th turn doesn't calculate bonuses? It means we don't need to worry about the case of what would happen when we get to the end. Def test. I wonder who made up these rules for bowling. I bet. Okay, strike bonus test is equal So we're giving it a list of we could make it simpler actually. Because hang on, why don't we just give it the entire, rather than having to do take 2 here, why not just give it rest and let it do that itself? Yeah, that's much nicer. In fact, we can do rest implicitly. Can we just do that? Yeah, what does that do? Does that work? See, we can do this, but then we're defining this like throwaway variable. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. All right, I guess it doesn't matter. Cool. So does it work though? So wait. So before we strike bonus. So let's start with something easy. So we're expecting an output of 3. Cool. So that's if we give it an X character. Yeah, so it's working. It's just taking the first 2. Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice, right? Cool. So let's just copy that into our tests. Oh. Oh. What's going on? There, thank you. Why do I... okay. Cool. Nil just means the test's passed in Clojure's test framework. That's how it works. This is a big problem, isn't it? Okay, so far we're handling the case of a strike. Okay. Okay, so we're on the second roll of a frame. So in this case, what do? We check if it's a strike. Yeah, that's what we need to do. So case roll. So case roll in. Okay. So that's our first case, and our second case is just anything else, right? Cool. So okay, so we've got a strike. I mean, it's very similar to what we did for, sorry, not a strike, a spare. A spare is very similar for what we did. So let's just copy what we did for strike and then Yeah, so we had 10 and our bonus. No, we don't. No, because we already added, we need to add 10 minus what we already added in the previous. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, this is so ugly. Because we already added something to the score in the previous. So this t row variable. We can repurpose this. So let's replace t row with basically a rolling count of the score so far in this frame. So yeah, let's make an f score. But no, that isn't right, is it? Because the f score could be 0. Oh, this is messy, messy, messy. This is getting very complicated. Right, so we didn't add anything to our score. We just added our f score, right? So okay. So we're adding we're adding a spare bonus. Yeah, and we can ignore f score actually in this case, in this instance of getting a spare. Because our score is just, yeah, score plus t. Yeah, that's simple. And f score is just set down to 0. That's actually right. Okay, maybe that's okay. So, and then hang on. So let's comment these. So this is the case of a strike. This is the case of non-spare. I'm going to take a short break. I'll be back in a moment. So that decision I made at the start, whether to cycle over the rows or the frames, we are starting to run into the problems of the way we did choose to do it, which is that we're having to keep track of these two variables here are basically just for keeping track of where we are in the current frame. Which isn't a disaster or anything, but maybe after I finish implementing it like this, we can try it the other way. Anyway, so let's code the use case where is the second roll and we don't get a spare. So rest is always the first argument. So what do we add on to our score? So wait, why here did we just... Well, that isn't right. Why did I do that? We want that, obviously. Oh, no, we don't. I remember why. Yes, because we're just keeping track of it for next time. Right, anyway, so... so we didn't get a spare, so we need to add score plus the leftover plus our current roll. Why did I call it F score? Oh, frame score. Yeah, this is ugly. I mean, it'll work, but it's not elegant. So the third argument is what? Turn T roll and F score. T roll was that? Turn roll. Well, that goes back to 0. And F score is 0. Cool. This might even work. So we haven't accounted for the case when we get to the end of our loop. So this rolls. No, this... Yeah, we also haven't accounted for the 10th. So for the moment, before we do anything else, because we just need to get something we can test. So we'll just make it that it exits if we've got to the 10th row. Then we just print our score. Oh, so we do all that stuff. Cool. So we can run this and see what it does. Oh, I haven't coded the spare bonus function, right? It should be very similar to this, right? Wait, the spare bonus is trivial. The spare bonus is just dumb. Cool. So let's try running bowling score. How do we run it in our test? We just do that. Well, let's try the interesting one. No matching, no method digit found taking 2 args. Oh, line 16. So what's happening? So we errored because we got an empty wait, why would we be what we really want though is to know the type, because we know that something with no string value was given to the function, but what exactly was it? It didn't even have a string value, it was just a nothing. So we've been given a nothing. Let's test with some different data. So if we test with yes, then we get a different error. Oh, because we're... Wait, what? Can we be in the right namespace, please? Right, so when it tries to calculate a strike... Oh, hang on, is that what happened before? How far did it get before it errored before? We did 2, 3, 2, 3. Huh? Okay, whatever. Alright, so something goes wrong with the strike, right? So I don't get it. So clearly the wrong thing is being given to the strike bonus function. So only errors when we get to the end. It's like it's just running out of. Can we just so we don't get these annoying errors? Can we just make this robust so that it? So what exactly? So why is type returning nothing? This type can't be nothing. I mean, wouldn't the type be like nil or null or something? Yeah. So the type would be like. I don't understand how type is returning no output. If we wrap a string around an arrow, what happens? No. If we okay. So I don't understand this. Why are we getting nothing there? Why would the type function simply return nothing? That doesn't make any sense to me. The whole reason we're doing these debugging lines is to find out what's happening. I mean, what if the variable didn't exist? Yeah. So why are we not getting an error from that? I don't understand how the type function is returning nothing. That doesn't make any sense to me. Is one of the functions above it somehow protecting? No. I don't get it. I do not understand what's happening here. We get no output. I don't understand. How does the type function return no output? I don't even know of any case that could happen. Okay. I don't even know how I would check for that case because I don't even know what's happening. How bizarre. So it doesn't raise an error, but it does return no output. Is it something to do with the way the variable expansion is working? The destructuring, I mean. Let's do a test, right? So what happens with this if we call this function with yes, then we always get 2, but if there isn't one, nil. So is that what it is? Maybe it's nil. So nil is nil as we'd expect. But nil has a type. I mean, nil has a type, does it not? Oh, the type of nil is nil. So if you convert the string nil, that's what's happening then, that's what's happening. Right, so B is nil, that's the problem. All right, fine. We can just, cool, nil, C, 0, job done. Cool, so that should in theory fix that error. Oh, we've still got all this debugging rubbish. Wait, what's happening? I can hear the fan spinning up. So we've made an endless function that never ends, have we? Yeah, could you not, please? Okay, so let's get rid of all these print lines. Don't need any of that. Cool, so why does our function never end? So our function is supposed to end when t-roll gets to 10. Is t-roll not being incremented? So where do we recur? Oh no, turn. Oh yeah, I'm just checking the right thing. So turn is the third argument, right? So turn plus 1, same turn plus 1, turn plus 1. Okay. Oops. Cool. So it hasn't accounted for the bonus for the 10th, the special rules for the 10th turn, but that seems about right. That's if memory serves, the score should be 300. Yeah, but it's quitting prematurely, isn't it? That's fine. Cool. So what happens if we run the other tests? None of them are quite going to work because obviously it doesn't calculate all the rules yet. But what happens if we do that? 18, right? So it's just doing 18 divided by 2 is what, 9? Yeah, so it's just doing the first 9 turns. Yeah. Yeah, so it would look to be essentially working, although slightly incomplete. Cool. All right. So I think it's fundamentally working. I was just checking I was actually recording. Right. Cool. So all we need to do is code the special case for the 10th turn. So the rules for the 10th turn are different, just that it doesn't calculate. Because I mean, the fact that you get an extra roll every time, we don't actually care about that because that's already been accounted for in the we have to assume that whoever was playing followed the rules. So, but I don't think it's part of the problem to enforce that, is what I'm saying. So all we need to do is just use a slightly different set of rules where we don't calculate bonuses. So if turn equals 11, then we print the score. So case, what the hell just happened? Case turn 11, then we print the score. 10. So here we need to just implement our algorithm without any clever rules. No, we don't need to do anything clever. We literally just need to. Can we just do? Yeah, we can just calculate all of the rows in the 10th turn all in one go. So we've got roll full and rest. No, we can just add up everything from rows. So apply plus plus everything from rows. No, we don't even need to account for the 11th term. Oh, well, we could have just used an if then, couldn't we? If it's the 10th turn, then we just return oh no, we don't need to do anything. No, let's just, we add the score to all of the rest of the rows added together. Should be it. So we save it, we load it. So do we get 300? I believe that's expected. Cool, so have we actually solved this? Yeah, oh, we already copied the test. So do we get 20 on that case? We do. And do we get 99? So we've done it. Just to prove to ourselves that we've done it, let's go to the tests and just run the tests that we wrote at the very beginning. Oh, wrong namespace. Namespace, cool. Expecting it to say nil. Cool, so we've solved the bowling problem. So as I said, so what we've done is we've cycled through each individual row. Did we use all of these functions? Oh yeah, this is the one we didn't use, obviously. So yeah, if we'd done it through, if we'd passed it into frames and looped over the frames, we would have exchanged one set of problems for a different set. But having done it this way, I think it might have been better because we wouldn't have needed so many variables to keep track of as we're looping through. Can we, just for my satisfaction, I'd like to see if we can run some more tests. Because there's the example tests they give you. How can we see the full batch of tests? Yeah, it won't let us see the tests unless we actually solve the problem in Python, because that's what they want you to do it in. Oh, but hang on, can't we just, if we click attempt, will it show us all the tests? So they've got all these random tests. So this should be equal to 94. Yeah, so let's ingest some of these tests into ours. Cool. Let's just pick 2 of their random tests. So, oops. So we want that to be equivalent to 94, right? 94. And this one should be equivalent to 85. Cool, we're still getting nil, which means all the tests passed. Oh, hang on, what? Did I just run the same? Didn't I just run it twice and it worked the first time? So this is. So we're getting 7. Oh. Oh, so we might have found one that's not working. Oh. Because they got a spare. Ah, so the 10th turn, we're not fully accounting for certain parts of the rules, right? Because they get a spare followed by a strike. So they don't get any more bonuses, but spares do still give them an extra turn. But hang on, we're not even... Okay. So our code isn't quite right, so... We can't just blindly add the numeric equivalents. One moment, please. This makes it ugly though, doesn't it? So... So, okay, so this is only going to happen. This is a very specific case, okay, because they can't get 2 spares in a row, can they? Because they only get a maximum of 3 rows in the 10th turn. So if they get a spare, it will always be that that / character is our second character. So we can just special case it. We can just treat this as a special case. It feels messy, but this problem just... I mean, it's an interesting problem. Okay, anyway, so, right, so if... wait, what? So rows. So this rows is our... Yeah, so if second... Oh, if equals second rows /. So is there a third function? Can we do third? No, we're not allowed to do that. But we can do... Can we do that? Huh? How do you get the third index out of a... Oh no, because it's 0 indexed, so we get the third one out by doing that. Okay. That's fine. Right, anyway, so what do we do? So we just add 10 to... Because we know that the first 2 rows were 10 because it was a spare. So we just add 10 to... we just add 10 to the third. Cool. That feels like a hack, but I think it will work. So now if we switch back to our did we not load our code? Oh, because it won't actually be a, it'll be the character forward slash, won't it? Don't do that. Okay, so what does the character forward slash look like? So, but that's what I've done. What's your problem? So what's the error? Cons cannot... This error is nonsense. This doesn't have anything to do... What? We're not... Okay. Let's just run the test directly because it will make it easier to see what the error is. Cons cannot be classed to... Yeah, these kind of errors are so meaningless. So clearly it's not happy with this, but what exactly is the problem? So what happens if we do... So like we just tested, so if we do that, so can we not... What happens if we do... Well, that's fine, so why are we getting an error? I don't understand. Is the code not loaded properly? What's happening? This is a really weird error, as if we've done something like... So what line is it complaining about? Line 40. Oh. Wait, so what are we getting? Oh, because this, yeah, this is the third. Yeah, there might not be one. Yeah, there might not be one. Yeah, that's why. So yeah, so only if it exists. Okay, what's the most elegant way to do that? Yeah, so the error is actually just, what's going on? So the error is just, so we're doing like something like that. So we're getting an out of bounds. Although it's not actually a vector, is it? It's a list, so. Yeah, this is the error we're getting. No. I can't think of any way to do this other than doing an if statement, which is a bit ugly, but it's very ugly, but I don't know how else to handle it. So if count rows, so if there's 2, then we just do then we just return 10. Oh. Otherwise, we add 10 to... Cool. Very ugly, but okay. This problem's been a marathon. And not even really because I was really... Yeah, we shouldn't be getting that error anymore, we fixed that. What's happening? Line 42. Wait, so does count not work the way we think it does? Count... That's what I expected. So if... What's going on? If it's not 2, then it must be 3. I mean, this code looks correct to me. What's the problem? Are we not able to... Wait, because it's not a vector, are we not able to... Yeah, you're not allowed to do that. Yeah, you can only... it's not a vector, it's a list, so you can't just get the third element from it like that. Well, there must be a way to do that. This is a good question for ChatGPT. In Clojure, how to get the third element from a list. Oh, don't think I've ever needed to use that. Yeah, that's perfect. Out of curiosity, what does it do if we give it an index that's out of range? Yeah, we do get an error. Right, what was I doing? I forget where my error was. Oh, because here we were just getting, yeah, so we need to do nth. Cool. Should do it. So if we call our function again, 20, okay, so we've radically broken it somehow. Wait, what? Yeah, because we're not adding our score, we're just adding, okay. Wait, so what are all these things? So if we get a spare, and the other, wait, what? And the other branch is, well, it's if we don't get a spare. So if we're not getting a spare, then we're adding the score with the, yeah. So we're just not adding our score. We're just being a bit silly, aren't we? Wait. But if we get a spare, there'll always be another row, won't there? Yeah, they will. So why do we need this logic? Because this branch should never be evaluated. If we get a spare, there'll always be another row. Okay, so this test is finally passing. Okay, so let's run the full batch of tests again. These coding problems are a marathon, man. Like, cool. So they passed. Because I actually failed some of them, I'm gonna copy some more because I want to be certain. So we did the 2462x, right? So that should be 88. And that should also be 88. And that should be 111. What? What's just happened? So the last one, oh, I just typed it wrong. Cool. Cool, so we've legit solved it, good. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I needed so much code. But yeah, I mean, it does the job. Yeah, it would be interesting to re-implement it, but instead of looping over rows, loop over frames. But that's an exercise for another time, I think. I guess we'll call it a day. Okay then.